You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done watching season 1 of Hysteria. This is a brand new series that just dropped on Peacock, and I don't know what's going on over there at Peacock, because I would never expect them to drop back-to-back hit series or just two series that I find to be very intriguing. This and Teacup, man, they're over there cooking, and I'm way more excited about Camp Crystal Lake now. I just want to kind of give you my thoughts on this first season and just what I thought about it overall. I was intrigued the moment I heard, Bruce Campbell was a part of this, and I don't know everybody else, the actors involved with this, but right up front, man, everybody did a great job in this series. It has a nice humor. It has a really intriguing premise, a lot of interesting plots that are interconnected. So this is following Dylan and his friends Bud and Jordy. Jordy being like the lead singer, vocalist of the band. They have this metal band, and they're not really popular amongst their peers. They're not really making any type of movement with their music. So what Dylan comes up with for an idea is to use Satanism as a way to kind of get attention or bring more attention to the band, and maybe that could help them land a demo tape or something like that. Very immature kind of thought process, but they might be onto something. But this is where things start to get really interesting, because the series kicks off with this character that goes by the name of Faith, and this boy named Ryan. He's like the popular kid. I guess he's like the star quarterback or the star jock of the school, and somebody ends up busting into Faith's room and snatches up her and Ryan. Ryan ends up dead, so now there's this whole murder mystery thing going on. Meanwhile, you have Dylan and them kind of embracing having like this satanic cult, and now this is gaining them a lot of unwanted attention, but also gaining some attention from people that kind of understand what they're trying to do. Now, this is where Judith comes into play, where she really is a master manipulator, and she's kind of like the popular it girl at school, and Dylan is kind of swayed by her to kind of go along with this whole Satanist thing, to even as far as almost killing a cat, but he didn't kill a cat. He instead just puts a whole pentagram on his hand. So what's interesting about this story is how there's this whole uprise of people just not wanting that Satanist stuff, and them thinking that the band has something to do with Ryan's murder. So now, bringing it back to Faith and her mom, Tracy. Tracy is the one that's kind of at the forefront of all of this as far as the antagonist for Dylan and their whole group. And she tries to kind of really demonize them because she's trying to cover her own ass while also protecting this other character that we get introduced to, is the Reverend, and he's another villain of this series. So you have that whole thing kind of going on, while on top of that, Linda, Dylan's mom, has an encounter with a demonic spirit, or at least that's what she thinks. Or, it's all kind of playing with perception, but there's a much greater thing happening once you kind of see what's happening to Linda and her getting these red marks all over her body. You start to see that with a lot of other adults throughout the town. You never see it really with the teens, which is kind of interesting too. But she plays a bigger role as a whole, and she kind of starts to believe that her son is a part of this satanic cult, and nobody is really paying attention to the actual villains or the actual criminals like the Reverend and Tracy. all fantastic, like, little storylines that are kind of going on. Like I said, like, the big antagonist, I would say, for the series so far are Tracy, the Reverend, and definitely Judith. And you really see, going back to Judith real quick, you see how evil she is, and I feel like they're going to do something interesting with her character in a future season. I don't know if it's going to be season 2 because of how things kind of went, where Dylan kind of starts to realize that he created a monster with doing this whole cult thing, and Judith kind of hijacks that, and she takes it way too far, where she was about to kill one of her old friends, Tanya, and stuff like that, for ratting her out and whatnot. And Judith is the granddaughter of Bruce Campbell's character, the Chief, and the Chief is really dope in this, and I really like Bruce Campbell's humor. You know, I don't feel like he's ever lacked when it comes to humor in this, and just the role that he plays of trying to figure out and put the pieces together is all dope. I really fuck with it. I really like this series. My personal favorite episode is episode 5, where we see the duality between Tracy and Faith, and just how similar their stories are, but you see what ends up happening to Tracy and her trying to kind of manipulate her own daughter into doing certain things and make her an accomplice as well. Terrible parent. Fantastic performance, though. You know what I'm saying? I just loved how, even once we get to the finale, how it sets things up to make it look like Tracy is like this hero. You know, she's trying to pretty much save the Reverend's ass while also trying to protect her daughter. You know what I'm saying? So she'll do these selfish acts, and she'll use the whole, you know, Dylan's mom being possessed to try to get a fake confession out. So once that happens, you know what I'm saying, the Reverend can just continue to do what he does. But little does she know that, you know, Faith is the MVP of this series or this season, to where she wasn't going to try to throw one of her friends under the bus just for shits and giggles. And I really like this show, man. There's so much to kind of break down. And I have so many theories on what they could possibly do for a season 2. Like, how are they going to handle the whole Tracy situation now that she's kind of like, even though she's locked up, she has these supporters now. And the Reverend is still alive. No telling if he's going to break out. I don't see it. I feel like going into season 2, Tracy's going to take up that Reverend role in some capacity. But at the same time, you have this demonic entity creeping around, and people are thinking like everything is good, but I think it's going to get even worse moving forward. Judith goes to LA to live with her father, and I don't know how long that's going to last, or is she going to come back into the story at some point? Because I definitely think that there's a lot of opportunities to do something really dope with Judith's character. And now that everything kind of has settled down a bit, and our main characters, Dylan and the group and whatnot, are back together making music again, Dylan's really not into the whole cult thing. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed this, but if you get around to checking this series out, let me know your thoughts. This has just been my brief little 2 cents about it. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to a season 2. But until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.